That's awesome.
Joe, how do you change it though?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hey,
Jackie.
Happy Monday.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Kathy already pointed out my sister's fly strip. It's been there for 3 years and it's never caught a fly. It's never caught one single fly. Looks like it has flies on it, but that's really the pattern. Never caught a single fly. I don't know why it's still there.
That's so funny.
Awesome.
Well, Jenny, you're old hat at this for reading recovery, right?
Right. So I've been appointed myself as the official greeter. I've been here for a long time now. People have come and gone.
Please.
And then I've brought my dog into the group once in a while.
What do you think of the restaurants?
Oh, shoot. Well, I can't even talk about it. I'm freaking out.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. So we're panicked, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I
Ugh.
could have booze to go. I know that.
And
Yeah.
we're going to have to figure out, because as of this morning, it was open, and then as he was leaving to go down, it was closed by 8 p.m. So
Right.
we got to figure that crap out.
Well, my
But-
question is, can we open, like, just do it speakeasy wise?
That would be awesome.
Man, you got a whole community here.
I know.
Hey, Alicia.
It would be great. We were even wondering if we've heard rumors that there's going to be waivers that we could sell the alcohol, kind of like, but I don't know if that's just wishful thinking or whatever.
I heard that too, though. I heard you can it said, yes, you can sell alcohol from takeout.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
so, 'cause that would be,
They did say you could do that.
yeah. So,
Kennedy's trying to figure out what to do right now.
yeah.
Well, just so you know, you are now the host of the meeting. I just added you.
Me?
Yep.
Okay. Are you controlling?
I'm not controlling, but I can if you want.
Like the Wizard of Oz behind the green curtain.
Yeah,
Who is
you
that
have
in
the
green?
ability
I
to
see-
mute
I
any
see
of us.
Green. I see green, but I don't know who that is.
That's
That's
Kathy.
Casey.
That's
Oh, I
Kathy.
can't see her.
She said she's coming back. She's been on already. She's coming back.
Oh, they were just testing. All right. We said 2:15. So are you guys just testing?
Yes.
I've appointed my.
Okay, so we are recording. So everybody, I'm just going to share my screen with you really quickly before I turn it over to Alicia. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Down on the bottom, yours looks a little different because for some reason I went the wrong way. But this mute button, you're going to want to hit that when Alicia's talking, just so we can eliminate some of the background
I
noise.
see your desktop.
Yeah,
I don't see a mute button.
All right, hold
It's the
on.
mute button's down on the left.
On the left side.
Oh, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Jackie, we're just seeing your desktop right
All
now.
right,
Yeah.
Down on the left corner, the mute button for us.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
back.
see it.
Down on the bottom left, it's mute.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in a moment when Alicia starts talking, we may just want to mute because it'll eliminate some of the background noise. And then also down on the bottom, there's a chat feature that you can use if you have questions as it's going and you kind of want to store them there so you don't forget. And I think, Alicia, you were saying that you would kind of talk and then at the end we could go to questions. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you not want to use the hands up, hands down feature then? You just want to use just the
You
chat?
guys see the hands down? See, now I'm looking from the host end, Alicia, and I don't see the hands. That's why I'm forgetting how to tell people that.
You have 49 participants right now.
Yes, we do have that.
Is it under reactions?
Yes, it is. So if you click reaction, you can. I would just say, Alicia, maybe in the interest of time, we can just put them on the chat. Does that work? Because mine only has a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a clap.
Muted me.
that's your mute means down
Oh,
there
I have
too.
that too.
So
Okay.
let's just store questions there, and then we can come back to them when Alicia's done talking. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay, and then
Yeah, that
Alicia,
seems-
I'm gonna share the screen so that we only see Alicia, so give me 1 second. All right, does everybody see Alicia?
Yes.
Okay, all right, Alicia, you're on.
Okay, did you start recording, Jackie?
I
Just in
did,
case there's anybody who needs to
Yep.
see it? Okay. All right, then I'm going to officially start our staff meeting and thank all of you guys for getting on. I know that this is crazy and I want you to know that I've been on Zoom calls myself for the past 2 days with district office team and trying to stay in communication and making sure that we're getting consistent messages out. And from when I was on my last call this morning till now, things have changed again. So I'm going to give you the most up-to-date information that I have, but understand that an hour from now, this information could be changed. But the key right now is that we're trying to be as consistent as possible in our information. I think some of the other principals are having their staff meetings similarly today, and others are having tomorrow, but we want to make sure that we get out consistent messaging. So the first thing that I was going to talk about was that as of this morning, Marie was still planning to open school on Monday, but obviously since the governor came out this afternoon, that has now changed since my last call. She did email us and confirm that the governor, as of the 18th, has closed all schools for 2 weeks. So we can plan for right now, unless things improve, I understand is how he put it, schools will be closed for 2 weeks, starting the 18th. So unfortunately, I'm going to try and answer some of the questions that I've been getting, but you can certainly put them in the chat. Yes, we don't use SNN anymore, Rob. We use eSchool Messenger. So everyone should be on eSchool Messenger to be getting the most up-to-date information, but you're also should be getting everything in your email as well.
Yeah, I have not been getting Marie's emails, so I just wanted to throw that on.
You haven't been getting Marie's emails? Has everybody else been getting them in the GCSD all staff?
Alicia,
Yes.
I don't get them either. Bree doesn't get them either.
All right, if you don't, you should go ahead and email Kim Tenike. Actually,
Okay.
Kim's not there anymore. I'm sorry, it's not Kim. Email Mike Bastian and let him know, and he'll forward it to the new tech secretary. Because there's a GCSD all staff email, and that's where everything's been coming from. There was an email from Damien, and there was an email, a couple emails from Marie. I also I tried to forward some from LES all staff. So if you're not getting those, email Mike Bastian, because it's probably you're not in the Guilderland Central School District all staff email. Okay,
thanks.
Thank you.
Christine's saying sometimes they get filtered into other email categories. So, right, 2 weeks start, that could be check your spam folders. Victoria, yes, 2 weeks starting from the 18th, but obviously we're not in school this week either. So that's the way it stands right now. Let me tell you a little bit about what was talked about this morning on the conference call and clarify some things, and then I'll let you guys ask me some questions. So we're going to start with this idea of, so what do we now do? What's the expectation of teachers? What's the expectation of parents, families, administrators at this time? So I want to be 100% clear. Damien referred to this in his email, but he reiterated again today, and all of the principals are going to hold staff meetings and reiterate this. You are not under any expectation to be starting or teaching anything. You should not be assigning anything right now, and you should not be teaching any new material. So I just want to make sure that that's loud and clear. There's lots of implications for that. Some being, one of the things that we want to be sensitive to is Marie is getting obviously pounded with calls and emails from parents. And right now parents are, this is obviously unprecedented waters that we're in. And parents right now are overwhelmed just trying to figure out childcare, trying to figure out food. We are providing food for breakfast and lunch for all of our students who don't have access at this point. There are pickups. If that's something that you want to volunteer for, you can email Megan Beck, who is our food service director. They are in need of help bagging breakfasts and lunches, which families are by alphabetical name are able to go and pick up breakfast and lunch if they need that for their family. Oh, Christine's internet cut out, so she asked me to repeat that. And it's Tammy McGill, that's the new Kim, if you need to for your email. So we are feeding all of our families. It is a huge task. So if anybody has time and wants to volunteer, they're welcome to. We do have students who are under mandatory and voluntary quarantine as well from Linwood because they had direct contact with the student who tested positive. So right now, the priority is to support our families with food, childcare, making sure everyone is safe and following the mandates. We have some families who are struggling to follow the quarantine mandate, and even though they're under mandatory quarantine, are not following it because of the challenges around childcare and all of those other things. So right now, our goal is not to teach new material and put extra pressure on our families. Also, there's special ed implications for that. If we're introducing new curriculum and we're introducing new assignments, we have to make sure that students have access. If they have IEPs and the IEP minutes are being met, and we simply cannot do that. We have no way of doing that right now. So the takeaway right now is that we are not trying to run school. We just simply can't run school. Remotely, we're not set up for that. So there should be new content taught. There's no mandatory assignments that you should be giving. However, we do want you to stay engaged with your students and your families. And we want to make sure that we're staying engaged with you, which is why I wanted to do the virtual faculty meeting. Because you cannot get in the building, even if you left your things right now. We talked about it this morning, and until we get the all clear, there's no access to the building. We were able to get medication for a student, but even that was a Herculean task. And the new guidelines that are coming out are saying 72 hours after a building's been sanitized before access. Right now, the issue with the sanitization of the buildings are that we just simply don't have that large of a custodial staff. We also have staff members who are in quarantine, either mandatory or voluntary. So all of that makes it challenging because we have bus drivers who we can use but are in quarantine. We have custodial staff that are in quarantine because of the positive cases. We also have many, many more students, faculty, and staff members who are in the process of being tested right now. So, as you know, the more you test, the more positives you're likely to get. So we are still awaiting, and right now it's about 4 to 5 days before we're getting test results back on positive results or negative. So I just want you to be aware of that. I know it's challenging. So what can you do to engage your families? And we want you to keep students engaged because we know that families need resources. What do we do with our kids? We certainly don't want them taking them out to the trampoline parks and Chuck E. Cheese and all of those things right now. Natalia sent all of us a link to the district website. Natalia spent the entire weekend going through all of the online resources that were forwarded to her to vet them out. So there's a little challenge right now that we have to be careful about, which is some of these companies are putting out free resources for marketing purposes. So what Natalia has done is put together all of the district vetted and district used resources. So things like Starfall, IXL, Reflex, Brain Pop, all of those things that you use all the time are on that website that you can share that directly with parents. There's going to be an eSchool data or an eSchool messenger sent out to parents with that. So parents will have access to all of those resources from the district website. However, lots of times parents will respond better when it's coming directly from the classroom teacher. So one of the things that we want to encourage you to do is share that link however you communicate, whether it's Seesaw or email or your Google Classroom with families, because that's the most efficient links and resources that we have that have been vetted. Natalia mentioned that there are some Facebook posts going around that have large amounts of resources. She did not include any of those resources that A, didn't fit our systems or our networks, B, things that she had concerned about in terms of safety, and C, anything that was heavy marketing, because we don't want parents to think that they need to spend money right now to purchase this extra part of the website. Lots of them have free line access that's not really free, or lots of pop-up advertising. So we're encouraging people to share the resources that come from the district. I know Math Cabinet's compiled some things, Language Arts compiled some things, and Natalia put it all together. So you will be getting that from her if you have not already gotten that. If you want to engage your students just in, hey, I'm going to be online, if you want to chat about a book you're reading, things like that, those are things you certainly can do. We want you to do that. We want you to keep our students as engaged as possible. If you want to let them voluntarily write to you about what they're doing, that's okay too, if you want to suggest some reading. But the point is that Damien asked us to reiterate is you are not assigning anything, you're not grading anything, you're not assigning anything. I'm reading it right off my notes here. You're giving any tests. And Damien suggests being very careful about your language because right now school is closed. We're supposed to have our our New York State ELA next week. The state has broadened the guidelines, so they're not saying you don't have to test right now. That may change, but what they've done is given us a bigger window within which to test. Obviously, we won't be testing next week since we won't be in school. I'm not there, nor is anyone to take the test, so I just got a tracking number that they're being delivered, so I don't even know where they're going to be. Because there's nobody in the building. So they may leave them out front and they may get rained on, but I'm not sure unless they're going to deliver them to 2 Jennifer Drive. Right now, I don't know what's going to happen because there's literally nobody there to accept them. So again, when you are communicating with families and offering ways to be engaged, be smart with your language, because right now related service providers cannot provide those services, the IEP special ed minutes. Although we want our special ed teachers to remain engaged to help parents think about how they can accommodate or modify if they're doing anything at home. We want you to stay engaged, but we can't provide those services right now. So OT, PT, speech, none of those things we're able to provide. If you want, you can share resources. But again, Damien says, be smart and careful about your language. There's already on Twitter a big wave of special education parents around the online learning and assigning of tasks. So just be thoughtful and careful about that. I'm just reading my notes here. The wording that the district is using and that what they would like you to use when you're engaging your families is, we are providing educational opportunities. So again, if you can stick with the same language and we can be consistent in our messaging, I think it helps parents to not be confused. We're trying to do this. We're trying to get all the principals to give the same messages to all the teachers. So again, you're not running classes, you're engaging your students, you're providing opportunities for them, while recognizing that although students might have access to internet, they may be with grandparents because parents have to work during the day. They may be struggling with being food insecure and going to get food. There may be limited access to technology. We do have 50 hotspots that we're giving out currently at the food distribution. So when we're distributing lunch and breakfasts, we're trying to assess what people have in terms of technology, and we have 50 hotspots from Verizon. If we need more, we will get them. But just even because they have the technology doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to access. So we want to be thoughtful and considerate about that. At the elementary level, the decision has been made that we will not be handing out Chromebooks. You guys can't get into the building right now anyway. So in the middle school and high school, they're going to work on getting Chromebooks to students. But right now, the elementaries will not be sending Chromebooks home with students. So they'll be working with whatever they have at home. So also be cognizant of that when you're engaging parents. Things like IXL, all of those normal resources, we want to make sure people feel comfortable that they have logins. Julia shared an email that had logins and passwords for the library that you can certainly share with your families to keep them engaged. Some of these things I'm gonna not even talk about because they're no longer relevant. If you have a parent asking you about medication, direct them to me, because that's a whole process we have to go through. And some of the medications, I'm gonna say all, especially those that are controlled substance, I can't just open the door and hand a bottle of medicine out. So that takes coordination. Laura's quite far. Right now, I myself am doctor quarantined, so it's hard for me to get there. But we can make arrangements to get medicine there, but just have them direct their questions to me if they need medication that's left there. We had one, but it took us a little bit to get it organized and get a physical nurse has to be there to count and record the pills. Let me just go. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything for you, and then I'll let you ask questions. The other issue that came up from parents is we have kids that are watching their siblings right now. So parents are concerned about lots of assignments being given, which is another reason why we're not holding kids accountable to having to log on at a specific time to see a specific lesson. Because again, we're trying to relieve some of the hardship on our families who are going through this. The other thing was going to be about if you're not coming in Monday, call for a sub right now, but since we're going to be closed, that's not an issue. However, if something changes, I also want you to know that I recognize that most of you all have children, and that if we open before your children's schools, because there's some schools that are closed for 4 and 5 weeks, if we get to that point, be aware and put in for a sub as soon as possible, but make your families your #1 priority. That's most important. But if we get in that situation, it could get challenging because we have teachers in the district already on quarantine. As I said, we have staff members. Now Shen's district has quite a bit of people on quarantine as well because they had an elementary teacher test positive for corona. So they're now exponentially expanding their number of cases quickly as well. So this is here, it's very quickly spreading. We, as I mentioned, have some families that are right now not being compliant to the degree that I will share that the sheriffs were sent. That's how serious this is, because parents were saying, I'm gonna send my kids out on their bikes to play in the neighborhood, even though they were on quarantine, because they need fresh air. So understand that this health department's taking it very seriously. And so families are expected to be compliant as well as staff members. If we get more positive tests and we know that it's going to affect Linwood, you will hear from us. You will hear from us, but you will also hear from the Department of Health. If you are, because what they're doing is concentric circles. So they're speaking to the people who are testing positive, and then starting with where have you been, who have you been around, what bus were you on, what clubs were you in, what activities did you attend, did you go to the mask presentation, things like that. And then concentrically going out. So you will be, but that notification is done by the Department of Health, not by the school district. So keep an eye on your emails and keep an eye on your spam folders, because what I understand from some parents is that the letters went into their spam folder and they didn't even know that they were on the list for quarantine. So keep an eye on that. I know some of you have connections to people in middle school. I don't know who the students are. I don't know. I only know the 2 houses that have been affected, but certainly something to keep your eye on. Let me see. As far as instruments, if you get an email from a parent saying my child left their instrument, they need to practice, right now, you can't get it to them. It's just a simple no. As soon as we can get the building cleared and approved by Tim Murphy, we will try and make arrangements for the instruments to get picked up. But as of right now, today, it's just a no. And again, this could change in an hour, but as of the Marie's direction this morning, the answer is no. And that goes for teachers too. If you left resources there, again, right now, you just can't get in. So I'll just say I'm sorry about that. The last thing that I want to talk about before we move on, I'm going to try while we're away from each other to hold virtual staff meetings like this whenever necessary, but at least once a week, so that we can all stay connected with each other, so that I can make sure you're getting the information as efficiently as possible. I worry about a 3-page email because I know some people, Mike Schaefer, won't read it. Right, Mike? Oh, he's muted, so he can't say. But I see you laughing.
I heard you.
Love you. So I think it's more efficient for us to be able to connect with each other. So I'm going to try this if we can, and we'll record it as well for those people who can't get on. So at least once a week, but more often if I have more information to share with you. What I have is just managing your own stress and your own mental health and well-being, because this is a really stressful time for everybody. I know you all have children, whether they're young children or kids in college or adults whose whole lives are being changed and are facing something that none of us have ever faced before. If money becomes a stress, finding toilet paper becomes a stress. I mean, that's just cold, man, with this toilet paper thing. I can't even process that. And I got a colonoscopy coming up this week, so talk about cold. I'm telling you, I see Joanne laughing. But anyway, I'm worried. I want you all to be well and to not be stressing out about, and I know you will, but about content and what you have to cover and curriculum. None of that right now is a priority. What's most important is your mental health, your health and safety, yourself as well as possible, keeping your families as well as possible, and the rest of it we'll figure out. As far as I'm concerned, if we're all ones and all our kids are ones, oh well, so be it. But I am not concerned about that at all. I'm concerned, I want them to read. I want them to be engaged in writing because it's joyful. I want them to try and keep up with their math so that they're not stressed, but I do not want you all to stress about assignments or any of that. I do want you to engage parents, but I do not expect you to 24/7 be at the beck and call of parents. So be very careful about your messaging because it can become very overwhelming very fast. And I think that doesn't solve anything for any of us. So my number one priority is that you're all taking care of yourselves. You have my number, so you can call me, you can text me. Lynn, that if you are in a situation with anything, EAP is available to you. If you're having your own concerns or know someone with concerns about emotional support, anything, food, access for elderly family members, any of those things, EAP has a ton of resources for you. If you're feeling stress and anxiety about any of those things. Again, I posted the other day, I saw a meme and it said, So what happens if we do all of this and nothing happens? The answer is good, then it worked. That's the right thing. So if we're all irritated for a couple of weeks and we're all stuck and we're like, all of this was much ado about nothing, it means that what we're doing is working. And the social distancing, as you all know, is about trying to flatten the curve and not overwhelm the healthcare systems. So this is here. I just saw Albany County, and the amount of cases in Albany County just tripled in the past 2 days. And my expectation is it will continue to grow because we're testing more people now. And so it's serious. I want you to be safe and do everything you can to keep your families safe. So I'm going to try and answer some questions. Let me see if I can answer them from the chat first. If you have chats, you can put them in, or Jackie, we can open the microphones if you want, but let me go back.
If you want to unmute you guys after we do the chat, you can just speak out.
All right, so I answered Rob, I answered Victoria. Tammy McGill is the new Kim if you're not on the Gilderlin email. Could you say that message again about the expectations? Okay, yes, the expectation is that you are not giving assignments, you are not teaching new content, you are engaging your families. You can share the website that the district put together and know that those are trusted resources. You can make yourself available, but do it smartly, not 24/7. But if you want to tell your students you're going to be online and you want to chat with them about reading and make that optional, you can. But again, nothing mandatory right now. What do we say to parents who keep emailing us for OT activities? You can give them activities and resources. I think you're going to get something. This is from Carol, from Lisa Knowles about that soon. She'll be communicating with you. Victoria saying Ben and I will send everyone a grid of stream activities by grade level. So I think there's tons and tons of resources, probably more than we want to share too. So be thoughtful in what you're sharing. If we just send 1,000 links to parents, it's going to become really overwhelming really fast. So take it, you can read through the resources, see which ones make the most sense for your grade level, for your class, and forward those on in a meaningful way. But let's try and refrain from just sending hundreds of links to parents and say, here, try and keep your kids busy. Okay. What about spring conferences? Are those being rescheduled? I do not know the answer to that yet. I'm going to say we probably don't know much more than we're going to be closed for 2 weeks from the 18th right now. That could get pulled back but I doubt that's going to happen. If anything, Marie was feeling more like we're going to be closed through April break. But that's not set yet. It's the science behind how quickly numbers are multiplying, and the more the numbers multiply, the more people are getting tested. The more people that get tested, the more positives we have. The more positives we have, the more those concentric circles go out and we quarantine. So I would hold off on spring concerts or spring conferences because I don't know the answer to that. Would notification come to our school email or personal email? I'm assuming that's from the health department. And I'm assuming that would come, if it's from a school-based connection, it would come from school, but it's very possible that you are connected to someone outside of school that would have been infected. So you may get a call from the health department or in your private email, depending on who the person is and how they connected to you when they had their interview with the health department. Child was one of those houses, and yeah, so again, someone got a letter and it ended up in the spam folder. I think she's in my, yeah, and nobody wants to see you looking like that, so go do something with your hair. Oh, I hear her pipe thing. Can we share activities on Seesaw and just make sure we say nothing is mandatory? Yes. Seesaw is a great way, especially for the primary teachers, to communicate. And yes, the words that you want to use are educational opportunities while school is closed. That's the language. You can hold your graduate classes with reading recovery, literacy lessons, as long as you're going to do it virtually, Ginny. You can't be in school. But yes. As far as what the teachers are expected to do, that is something that has to be, where are you, Ginny? That's something that has to be negotiated through the GTA. So if they voluntarily come to class while they're closed, that's fine. But whether we need a memorandum of understanding to make that mandatory is something that's going to have to be spoken to the GTA about. Because right now the expectation is only that we're engaging, I can't hear you, I see your mouth moving, but only that we're engaging families.
Sorry, I couldn't find myself. The thing is, though, that's a graduate class, so.
I know, and the
Oh,
AP
perfect.
classes are having the same issues, and the Regents classes are having the same issues, and actually the colleges are having the same issues about student teachers getting hours in and not being able to graduate. So it's a problem that's going to have to be addressed that's not solved yet.
But
My
I
guess
have
is we're
to go
going to
through
end
the
up with,
GPA for a graduate class that they're paying for.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm sorry, I have to go through the GTA for a graduate class that they are paying for. I mean, if I don't serve
Well, what
them,
I'm saying
then-
is we can't mandate them to participate in the class right now. So if people voluntarily come and get online and participate in the class, they can, but we can't mandate it. Now, I know it's for graduate credit, but whether they decide to waive that or not, I'm guessing most of those teachers are going to come on and participate in the class. If you have a problem beyond that, why don't you just reach out to me? But right now, the only thing I can ask people to do is engage with their families.
Gotcha.
But we can talk
And
about that
and I'm not
privately.
trying to be a problem, I'm trying to be a solution.
Yeah, no, I get it. We want them to get the credits. I know we're working on that with student teachers and counselors and who are all not getting enough hours now. So we have to work on that. From Michael's iPad, just to confirm, we are closed for 2 weeks starting on the 18th. Yes, that is correct. That's per the governor. Has closed all schools starting on the 18th for 2 weeks. I checked my email and I didn't receive an email from Natalia about the link. It probably isn't out yet. She was working on it this afternoon, so you should get it soon if you haven't gotten it. Should we wait for the district to reach out to families before we do? That's my suggestion. It should be out today. Right now, all of the language and wording has to go through the attorneys, which is what's making the process kind of slow. But my understanding is that's going to go out today. You don't necessarily have to, but I would at least wait for the rest of the day and see if that goes out by the end of today, which I think it will. Will I be notified if a student in my classroom tests positive? 100% yes. Yes, you will be notified by the health department, not by the school district, but by the health department. So again, we have we don't have any positive cases at Linwood, but we have siblings in our building of students who are on mandatory and voluntary quarantine. One of the students on mandatory quarantine is Ben Wiles. So Marie shared that this morning. So there are connections in the neighborhoods and in the Linwood catchment, but they do have siblings. So those siblings will likely be tested if they have symptoms. And then if they test positive in your classroom, you'll be notified by the Department of Health. Let me see, where am I? The email with the website is from Dave, and there's a link in the email he sent. Okay, Nell said in the that long email from Damien, there's a link to the website in there. From Catherine. Catherine said she helped with breakfast and lunch today. They made over 200 breakfasts and over 200 lunches, and there were very few volunteers. If you are able to offer some of your time, I think it would be very much appreciated. So yes, I know Megan Beck really needs help with packing the lunches. Also, people aren't coming out of their cars, so they're kind of pulling their cars up and we're bringing the food to them. And it is a huge task. So if you can, sounds like Catherine's saying, that they really need the volunteers. That's what I heard this morning as well. But
Where
you can
and
email
when?
Megan Beck. Her name, Megan Beck, is our new Linda Mossop. She's the head of food service. And
And
she has a
Mike-
volunteer schedule out that you can sign up for what
They need
times.
people there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, so this morning I went to their meeting at the high school and at the middle school. At 8 o'clock in the morning, we met today. But we also tried to make all the lunches and breakfasts an extra 200 each for tomorrow because it's supposed to rain tomorrow. You cannot go into the building to use the bathroom. And it's cold in the morning. So I'd get in touch with Megan Beck and see what she needs, but I didn't know we weren't going to be allowed to go into the building at all. So I was definitely not appropriately dressed. So dress for the weather if you're able to do it.
Thank you for that, Catherine. Will special area teachers be notified if any students are under quarantine or test positive? Yes. You'll be notified by the health department, not the school district, but yes, you will. When do new cases become not related to school if we are not in session? I don't understand that question. When do new cases become not related to school?
All right, so if we're not in
we are not in
school,
session?
yeah, when if we're not in school, eventually a new case is not related to being in school. So then
Right, the
everybody.
health department has these concentric circles that they're also dated. So
Okay.
they have a formula for figuring out who needs to be notified and who doesn't. All right, does anybody else have any questions? Because that's the last one I see in the chats. I think your mics are on now. If anybody has a question that they want to ask, or a comment or a concern.
How are you
Did I
feeling?
leave anything out that you need to know?
I think
Andy.
the takeaway for me is that they really want us to stick to the resources that are on Natalia's website, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That's going to be for math. That's going to be across all the subject areas. So I think that gives us some guidance. on what we should be using.
Yes, because those are the ones that she's vetted and that have been vetted by the district. If there's something that you really want included that's not already on there, then I would email it to Natalia, have her vet it, and then she can add it.
Do we make it clear
But yes,
to
good
parents-
question.
Do we make it clear to parents that the assignment, well, not assignments, that the learning is simply opportunities and that there is no expectation to complete them, or we just throw it out there that these are learning opportunities?
Marie's going to send that out today through eSchool, that these are educational opportunities. So she's going to clarify if you get questions directly. Sometimes you're more likely to get a question directly to you. That should be what your response is.
Okay.
If you get stuck, they can certainly email me. I'm just working from home every day. But I want to stay connected with you guys as well as having you stay connected with your families.
Okay.
I think the more we stay connected, the less likely we're going to run into problems. So Marie's going to email that out today. If you get questions about it, certainly answer it.
Okay.
We're providing educational opportunities while school is closed.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Another thing that I feel like probably common questions will be passwords. So maybe, I'm not sure if her website will tell parents like what to use for usernames and passwords. So maybe something coming out when teachers send an email reminding parents, like if you want to log into Reflex, their username is this, their password is their student ID. So I feel like a big area of questions will come through, like how do they log into Reflex at home or IXL at home? So just maybe teachers can start making sure they have that organized and know when parents start asking how to log into things.
Okay, that's a good point. And I know Marissa and Joe and Jackie all said that they're available if you get stuck or you need help with technology. Caroline sent an email if you didn't get it yet this morning with all of their cell phone numbers. So thank you to our tech people. Thank you, Jackie, for helping support tech needs because this is unprecedented. So we appreciate that. Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns? Is this more helpful for you to do it this way, or is it more helpful to have it in an email?
No, this is
No,
great.
this is great.
I think she's doing really well. I
This.
feel like
Yeah.
we did so well with all our tech. Good job, Linwood.
Squares in the
It's so
Yay.
fun to see everybody.
I think it's really important for us to be seeing each other.
Clicking through all the people.
Hey, guys. Thank you.
Still can't see you, Meg.
Meg,
Can't
you're
see Meg.
Of course, I clicked on the wrong one.
All right, so I have a request, Marissa and Joe, can you send a reminder for the login for the common sites like IXL? You get that?
Yep.
Joe and Marissa, you got that?
Yeah, we can do
Yep.
Okay.
On Zoom?
We're doing a Zoom conference call, yeah.
All right, so if everybody feels like that they have all the information they need, I'm going to go ahead and end our call here because I know you all need to be out in the fresh air
Thanks,
and
Alicia.
looking at your resources, but please call me. Text me if you have any questions. And I will send you out a link for another meeting in the next few days, and we'll get back together and see how things are going. If it seems like it works better than lengthy emails, okay?
Great, sounds great.
You need me tomorrow.
Okay.
I thought I got off
I
of
have
this.
treatment tomorrow, but you can still text me, okay? And if I don't get back to you right away, it's just because I'm high.
I'm trying to get off of the Zoom
Okay.
site.
Bye,
All
everybody.
right, bye, everybody. Good job. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you. Team Linwood. Woo!
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Team Linwood.